Hello everyone, today we're going to be looking at some more Thymesia gameplay. Overboard Studio just recently released two new pieces of gameplay. The first one's called Feathers, and the second one's called the Claw Mechanic. For those of you that are unaware what Thymesia is, it's a new Souls-like game coming out towards the start of August actually, so we're getting pretty close to it, and it does look pretty interesting actually. The gameplay looks very smooth and fluid and fast-paced, and considering there's not actually that many games coming out between now and September, this could be a nice little game to refresh the palate. And I mean, I say little game, but it is a Souls-like game, so I mean, how little could it really be? But enough of me blabbering on, let's check out the gameplay. First one's called Feathers, here we go.
Welcome back to another video in the dark and brutal world of Thymesia. This time round, we're going to look at the Feather Attack. The Feather Attack is another important part of Corvus's arsenal. Its primary purpose is to stifle the enemy and stop any incoming critical attacks. When a green light indicator appears before an enemy attack, they will perform a critical attack that cannot be deflected. Instead, Corvus must move out of range or use a Feather Attack. Press your left trigger to throw a feather to interrupt the enemy attack and wound them right before their critical attack hits Corvus, not right after the green light appears. It's not a quick time event. The indicator is a warning for Corvus, not a prompt to throw a feather. We want you to determine this for yourselves.
Okay.
Successfully interrupting a critical attack will leave the enemy wide open and vulnerable for a short period, allowing you to enjoy the fruits of your labour. As you level up the Feather Attack in the talent tree, there are multiple routes to go. You can simply upgrade the range attack aspect to deal more damage to the enemy and regenerate feathers quicker. Or you can turn the Feather Attack into a dash ability. After throwing a feather, quickly press the left trigger again to dash towards your opponent and unleash your wrath. Now, if you prefer close-up combat, Corvus can utilise his intercept wing. Instead of throwing feathers, Corvus uses his wing to perform a melee attack, which can interrupt incoming enemy critical attacks and deal much more damage. Thymesia releases August 9th on Xbox Series XS, PlayStation 5 and PC.
Wow, okay. So that is actually a pretty in-depth mechanic. So that's actually pretty interesting, because in most games the enemies do have some sort of critical attack and you usually just have to dodge out of the way. You know, they highlight red or something, or it flickers red and then you just got to move out of the way. But they do give you the option to throw a feather to stutter the enemy, and then that gives you an opening to keep attacking. Or you can use the feather to hit the enemy and then you dash in towards them as well. Or as a third option, you can, like I'm assuming this happens with the skill trees, you can change the feather to like a wing, like use your wing to like stun the enemy, and that only works at a much closer range, but you can use it like against melee attacks as well, or just like any random attack. I think there's going to be a lot of experimentation when this game comes out to see what the best way to do things is, or even find a specific way to play how you want to play, like find your own playstyle. Okay, let's check out the next video. This one's called the Claw Mechanic, so another completely new mechanic. Here we go, the Claw.
Hello everyone, it's time to talk about the Claw Mechanic in Thymesia. Let's preface, however, with an insight into enemy health bars, looking at how they work and the role they play with the Claw. You will often see two colours on the enemy health bars, white and green. The white bar represents their total health and the green bar is the amount of wounds on the enemy. You will need to empty both of them to finish an enemy. When the enemy's health and wounds are both 0, they will become dazed. Approach a dazed enemy to execute them. Inspired by the macabre medieval act of bloodletting practiced by plague doctors, whenever Corvus deals damage to any enemy, he leaves wounds on them, and then the enemy emits some of their plague energy into the air. Wounds are temporary and will heal after a short period, if no more damage is inflicted by Corvus. If you do not make haste and utilise the claw, your enemy will regenerate health. To prevent this, Corvus has to do the claw attacks in time. Claw attacks are very effective on wounds and can absorb the plague energy. To use the claw, you need to press Y or triangle depending on your controller. You can spend points in the talent tree to extend the period it takes for enemies to start replenishing health. The basic move for claw attack is the long claw. It's slow but charges forward, allowing Corvus to keep distance from the enemy, and it also deals significant damage. You can also switch to the short claw in the talent tree. Short claw is a series of frenzied attacks, which deal a ton of damage in no time, especially effective when dealing with multiple foes at once. The claw can also be utilised to reave enemy plague weapons, but we'll talk about that in the next video. Thymesia releases August 9th on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XS and PC.
Wow, they're releasing so many new videos on this game, and I just want to play it right now. So let's talk about that for a second, because there are a few questions that pop up into my head. So you do damage to an enemy, and it inflicts a little bit of plague damage, and then to capitalize on this plague damage, you have to hit them with a claw ability, which then takes away the plague damage, and it essentially does then permanent damage to the enemy. The question is, when you do normal damage to an enemy, does a certain percentage of the damage dealt turn up as plague energy, or does all of the damage dealt turn up as plague energy? And can you only get rid of this plague energy by using a claw attack, or is a claw attack just more effective at doing so? So I'll explain what I mean a little bit there. So if you inflict 90% of the damage to something, so their health goes down by 90%, does that 90% come back as plague? Or does maybe only 40 or 50% come back as plague if you do then use your claw? Because it would seem a little bit strange if you do 90% of damage to something, and then you leave it for a couple of seconds, and then it goes straight up to where it was before you inflicted the 90%. I feel like it would work a lot better if the claw aspect of it was just additionally. So you could do the damage you want to do, and if you really want to capitalize on this plague damage that's being left over, then you could switch to your claw and take them out. So still a few questions in the air. Nevertheless, it's looking really good. The animation is everything, looking really smooth. Super excited for August. I don't think, off the top of my head, there's really any other game that's coming out in August that really spikes my interest. Which, I mean, on the other side is good, because it means we're going to have a little bit of time to play this game. Actually sink our teeth into it and really try it out. So thank you guys very much for watching. I think this is where I'm going to leave it here. We're definitely going to check out more gameplay of Thymesia in the future. You heard themselves. The claw can also be utilized to reave enemy plague weapons. Whatever that means, but it sounds very interesting. So when more gameplay comes out, we'll be sure to check it out on the channel. But that's it from me, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying these Thymesia rundowns. If you are interested in any upcoming Xbox and PlayStation games, I've got a list in the description below. You can check that out if you want to. Other than that, that's it from me. Have a good day, guys. Catch you later.